Arguably, there's no better place to build wealth than in South Australia. Adelaide is considered one of the best business destinations in the world, and that's just one of its strengths. Adelaide is consistently ranked as one of the most livable cities, and our quality of life is second to none. Adelaide is also the most affordable capital city in Australia, with the lowest cost of living. Major infrastructure developments valued at more than $80 billion are either underway or in the pipeline, creating investment and job opportunities, and stimulating the growth of local business and industry. Our mild climate, close proximity to beautiful beaches and the scenic Adelaide Hills, 400 year-round events combined with low living costs, and some of the country's most affordable housing makes South Australia very inviting to holidaymakers, expats, foreign immigrants, retirees and interstate transfers. There is a brilliant blend of business and pleasure here that is boosting investor confidence. Our population growth levels are at their highest in nearly 35 years, and for property investors, that means a greater demand for housing, driving prices up. In 2000, Adelaide's median house price was $130,000. In just 10 years, it has risen 208% to $400,000. The prediction is that by 2013, median house prices will rise by 20%. Now is a great time to invest in South Australia, because the future for building wealth has never looked brighter. Some of the world's leading companies and most innovative businesses in the country are building their wealth in South Australia. We're in a great state, building an even stronger economy that was impressively resilient during the financial crisis and is predicted to grow more strongly than other advanced economies at 5.5% over the next 2 years. The state enjoys political stability, strong international ties, and a AAA credit rating awarded by international ratings agencies Standard & Poor's and Moody's. SA is also the second fastest place in the world to start a business. Investor confidence is encouraged by the largest infrastructure spend in our history. Projects worth more than $80 billion are underway or in the pipeline, creating investment and jobs and stimulating local industries and business. Based to 25% of the country's defence industry, South Australia is building wealth with an injection of $300 million into Techport Australia's world-class maritime industrial precinct, as well as the Royal Australian Navy's next-generation $8 billion air warfare destroyers. It will deliver contracts for future naval shipbuilding and repairs. $600 million worth of new facilities at Edinburgh will coincide with relocation of the 7 RAR battle group to Northern Adelaide, generating more than $100 million in revenue and at least 1,600 jobs, with only 40% of accommodation provided by the Defence Housing Authority. This is a timely opportunity for private property investors. The South Australian Government is investing $10.7 billion on upgrades to our transport networks, hospitals and schools. $1.37 billion is being poured into a desalination plant to ensure Adelaide's water security. Approximately 40% of Australia's electronics industry is also located in SA, in suburbs such as Technology Park and Mawson Lakes, an area that is also home to world-leading research and innovation centres and institutes. We continue to build on our traditional strengths in food and wine, automotive, manufacturing, resources and information and communications technology, expanding our education and service sectors, along with new knowledge-intensive services and advanced clean tech industries. And we're on the verge of a mining boom, with BHP's Olympic Dam creating the world's biggest open-cut mine in the north of the state. At this rate, South Australia has strong prospects of outperforming the national economy over the next decade. Everything is pointing to record levels of employment and population growth. In our 30-year plan, over 9,000 new jobs a year are envisaged, along with demand for an average of 8,600 dwellings a year. This major growth, particularly in mining and defence, will drive housing prices up. Reinforced by steady population growth and prosperity, South Australia is a state with a bright economic future, which is great news for property investors looking to build wealth in South Australia. In South Australia, we're building wealth with a 30-year plan for Greater Adelaide that includes the biggest single investment ever by a state government in public transport. The transformation of our transport network into a vibrant, state-of-the-art and sustainable system will deliver faster, cleaner, more frequent and reliable services for commuters. A transit-focused city will mean that people move more efficiently by creating mixed-use precincts that consolidate transport, services, housing and jobs. Initial spending will be concentrated on increasing housing densities near upgraded transit corridors, a welcome strategy for property investors. New trams and tram lines, an upgraded, extended and electrified rail network, and introduction of a substantial number of additional buses are all part of our plan to ensure Adelaide remains one of the country's most livable and sustainable cities. The federal government is on board with $2.6 billion invested in progressive transport projects, such as the upgrade of the Gawler Line, Adelaide's longest and highest patronised rail corridor, and the extension of the Noarlunga Line to Seaford, along with the Port Wakefield Road and Adelaide Hills freeway upgrades, and the new Northern Expressway. We are creating non-stop routes to Adelaide, promoting new growth areas with positive implications for local property values. South Australia is on track for building wealth like never before, so if you're thinking of investing in property, the time is right now. More and more interstate, international and local property investors are choosing to build their wealth in South Australia. Compared with other Australian capital cities, Adelaide property is largely undervalued and investors are seeing the exciting untapped potential here, which is building a greater demand for housing. Federal and state governments are investing billions to meet the increased demand for property required by a swelling population. Driven by a mining and exploration boom, Technology Park, the Edinburgh Defence Precinct in Adelaide's north, and the $1.37 billion desalination plant at Port Stanback, we are witnessing unprecedented growth in the Copper Coast on the Northern York Peninsula, Playford and Salisbury in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, and Onkaparinga in the south. Consumer confidence is up, with the state government's focus on broadening the scope of Adelaide's north-south transport corridors, which will include a series of strategic non-stop road links to connect the rapidly expanding industrial and residential growth areas, providing new opportunities for economic development. At the same time, many traditionally overlooked suburbs are offering outstanding redevelopment opportunity and capital gain. Due to the ripple effect of surrounding suburbs, any number of investment strategies can be targeted to tap into the demand for rental accommodation. A growing population of Asian students choose to study in Adelaide. Thousands of British expats visit, work or retire here each year. And our strong tourism industry continues to drive investor interest. The South Australian Government's 30-year plan is focused on a substantial growth in population, with intelligent infrastructure being put in place now in preparedness for residential housing of the future and the best opportunities to build wealth in South Australia. An attractive option for property investors to build wealth is here in South Australia. Compared to other investment destinations, SA's overall potential and low risk factor make it very appealing to those wanting to build capital growth and rental yields. With its low setup and operating costs, low employment figures and enviable low-cost lifestyle, our state is a property investor safe haven. The market here is proven, with immigrants constantly boosting our annual population figures, along with millions of holidaymakers adding to the demand for rentals. The overall stability of the property market, lower cost of living and favourable exchange rates inspires confidence in SA property investment. While all property markets fluctuate, the overall climate in South Australia is good for investors looking for solid financial gains. Adelaide is building capital growth and rental yields, with a high demand for properties in both northern and southern residential growth corridors. The SA market lends itself well to buy-to-let and buy-to-hold strategies. The potential for returns on investment is high, and our reasonable tax structure, including fixed stamp duty and no inheritance tax, is another incentive to invest in property here. By securing a property off the plan at today's price, investors have the potential for early equity growth. Not only are there lucrative tax breaks, but lower maintenance costs, as a new property off plan requires less upkeep. Rental returns in Adelaide are very strong, with low vacancy rates and high reletting rates in all of South Australia's growth corridors. More investors than ever before are needed to ease the rental shortage. And with the potential of growth and strong rental returns, it's a great time to build your wealth in South Australia.